Far away in the vast blue waters of the Indian Ocean, scattered like jewels across the sea, lies one of the world's most breathtaking island nations, Seychelles. This small African country is not defined by size, but by beauty, uniqueness, and natural richness. Though it covers only about 459 square kilometers of land, its territory stretches across more than 1.3 million square kilometers of ocean. Seychelles is not just a country, it is an archipelago, a collection of islands shaped by ancient geological forces and surrounded by turquoise waters that seem almost unreal. Today, we begin our journey by exploring the geography, landscapes, climate, and natural treasures that make Seychelles one of the most extraordinary places on Earth. Seychelles lies in the western Indian Ocean, northeast of Madagascar, and about 1,600 kilometers east of mainland Africa. Although geographically part of Africa, it feels worlds apart. Its closest large neighbor is Madagascar, while to the west lies Kenya and Tanzania across the sea. To the southwest is Mauritius, another island country. Because of this isolated position, Seychelles developed in a unique way, environmentally and culturally. Its remote location protected it from many mainland conflicts, but it also shaped its identity as a maritime nation deeply connected to the ocean. Seychelles consists of 115 islands divided into two main groups. The inner islands are made of granite and are some of the oldest oceanic islands in the world. They were once part of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana. The most important island is Mahé, home to the capital city Victoria and around 90% of the country's population. Other major inner islands include Praslin and La Diga. These islands are famous for dramatic granite rock formations, lush forests, white sand beaches, and clear waters. The outer islands are flatter and made mostly of coral. They are more remote and less populated, and some are completely uninhabited, serving as wildlife sanctuaries. The outer islands stretch far across the ocean, making Seychelles' maritime territory enormous compared to its land size. What makes Seychelles geographically unique is its granite foundation. Most oceanic islands around the world are volcanic in origin, but Seychelles' inner islands are fragments of continental crust. Millions of years ago, when the supercontinent Gondwana broke apart, pieces of land drifted away, and Seychelles was one of them. This means that unlike volcanic islands such as the Maldives, Seychelles has ancient continental rock beneath it. These granite boulders, shaped by wind and water over millions of years, now create some of the world's most iconic beach landscapes. The smooth, sculpted rock formations at Source d'Argent are often photographed and recognized globally. Seychelles enjoys a tropical climate, meaning warm temperatures throughout the year. Average temperatures range between 24 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius. There are no extreme winters or summers. Instead, the islands experience two main seasons influenced by trade winds. From November to March, the northwest monsoon brings warmer, more humid weather with occasional heavy rain. From May to September, the southeast trade winds bring slightly cooler, breezier, and less humid conditions. Because Seychelles lies outside the cyclone belt, it is rarely hit by major hurricanes. This geographical advantage makes it one of the safest tropical destinations in terms of natural disasters. Though small, Seychelles is surprisingly mountainous. On Mahé Island stands Morne Seychellois, the highest point in the country at 905 meters above sea level. The surrounding Morne Seychellois National Park protects dense tropical forests filled with rare plants and animals. Nearly half of Seychelles' land area is protected as national parks or reserves, an extraordinary commitment for a small nation. Dense forests cover many inner islands, filled with endemic species, plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. Seychelles is one of the world's biodiversity hotspots. Because of its isolation, species evolved here independently. This led to the development of rare wildlife such as the Seychelles giant tortoise, rare bird species like the Seychelles black parrot, and unique palm trees like the coco de mer. The coco de mer produces the largest seed in the plant kingdom and grows naturally only on Praslin Island, particularly inside the Vallée de Mai Nature Reserve. Marine biodiversity is equally rich. Coral reefs surround most islands, providing habitat to hundreds of fish species, sea turtles, dolphins, and whale sharks. The Indian Ocean is not just scenery. It is central to Seychelles' identity and survival. Fishing has long been a major activity, especially tuna fishing. The ocean also supports tourism, transport, and marine research. The country controls a vast exclusive economic zone, giving it rights over marine resources in a huge area of ocean. Because of this, Seychelles promotes what it calls the blue economy, the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth while protecting marine ecosystems. Seychelles beaches are often ranked among the world's best. Anse Lazio on Praslin and Anse Source d'Argent on La Diga are internationally famous. Powdery white sand meets crystal clear water, framed by granite rocks and palm trees. These beaches are not heavily industrialized. Strict building regulations protect natural beauty, and high-rise hotels are limited, preserving the landscape. This careful planning has allowed Seychelles to maintain its reputation as a luxury eco-destination. Unlike many small islands, Seychelles has freshwater rivers and streams on its mountainous islands. Rainwater feeds reservoirs that supply drinking water. However, because of climate change, water security remains a concern. Rising temperatures and changing rainfall patterns could affect supplies in the future. Natural resources are limited. There are no major mineral deposits. The real wealth of Seychelles lies in its environment, its land, forests, and sea. Despite its beauty, Seychelles faces serious environmental risks, including rising sea levels, coral bleaching due to warming oceans, coastal erosion, and plastic pollution. As a small island developing state, Seychelles is highly vulnerable to global climate change. Even small increases in sea level could threaten low-lying coral islands. The government has taken strong conservation measures, including marine protected areas covering large portions of its waters. Geography is not just about maps, it shapes people. The island lifestyle influences Seychellois culture with relaxed rhythms, deep respect for nature, and strong maritime traditions. Isolation created self-reliance, but it also encouraged openness to global visitors. Today, tourism connects Seychelles to the world. Its geography gave it safety from wars, but vulnerability to climate change. Its small size created unity, but also economic dependence on external markets. In many ways, Seychelles is a lesson in balance between nature and development, between isolation and globalization. Seychelles may appear small on a world map, but geographically it is extraordinary. Ancient granite mountains rising from turquoise seas, rare wildlife found nowhere else on Earth, beaches that seem almost dreamlike, and an ocean that defines both opportunity and danger. This is not just a tropical paradise. It is a nation shaped by geology, protected by isolation, and challenged by climate change. Long before luxury resorts, before airports, before maps gave these islands a name, the scattered lands of Seychelles existed in silence. For millions of years, they stood untouched in the Indian Ocean. Granite peaks rising above turquoise waters, forests whispering in the wind, giant tortoises roaming freely. There were no cities, no villages, no flags, only nature. But history was moving beyond the horizon. Unlike mainland Africa, Seychelles had no indigenous human population. Archaeological evidence suggests that before the arrival of sailors, these islands were completely uninhabited. Many countries have ancient civilizations stretching back thousands of years, but Seychelles began its human story relatively recently, only a few centuries ago. Its isolation kept it hidden from early African and Asian civilizations, but that isolation would not last forever. By the 9th and 10th centuries, Arab traders were sailing across the Indian Ocean, connecting East Africa, the Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia in a vast maritime network. Some historians believe Arab sailors may have known about the islands that would later be called Seychelles. While there is no firm proof of permanent Arab settlement, it is highly likely that Arab navigators passed by or temporarily landed on some islands for water or rest. At that time, the Indian Ocean was one of the world's busiest trade highways, long before European explorers arrived. The 15th and 16th centuries marked the Age of Discovery. European powers were searching for sea routes to Asia. In 1498, Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama sailed around the Cape of Good Hope and into the Indian Ocean, opening a direct maritime route between Europe and Asia. Portuguese ships likely sighted the islands of Seychelles in the early 1500s. However, they did not establish permanent settlements. To them, these islands were navigation points, useful for rest and fresh water but not strategically important enough to colonize. By the 17th century, the Indian Ocean had become a dangerous place. European trade ships carrying gold, spices, and silk sailed regularly between Asia and Europe, and pirates soon followed. The remote islands of Seychelles became ideal hiding spots. With no government, no army, and no settlements, they offered perfect refuge. Some legends suggest famous pirates may have hidden treasure in the islands, stories that still attract treasure hunters today. The first serious European claim over Seychelles came from France. In 1742, French explorer Lazare Picault was sent by the French governor of Mauritius to explore the islands. He landed on Mahé Island and was struck by its beauty and fertile land. In 1756, France officially claimed the islands and renamed them Seychelles after Jean Moreau de Seychelles, the French Minister of Finance. This marked the official beginning of Seychelles' colonial history. Permanent settlement began in 1770 when a small group of French settlers arrived with enslaved Africans and some Indian laborers. They established the first colony on Saint Anne Island near Mahé. The settlers cleared forests, built shelters, and created plantations. They introduced crops such as cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, coconut, and cotton, relying heavily on enslaved Africans brought from East Africa and Madagascar. This system shaped the early social structure of Seychelles, with a small European elite controlling land and resources while enslaved people performed most of the labor. In the early 19th century, during the Napoleonic Wars, Britain and France fought fiercely for global control. In 1810, British forces captured Mauritius, and Seychelles also fell under British control. In 1814, under the Treaty of Paris, France officially ceded Seychelles to Britain. Although British rule followed, French influence remained strong. Even today, the majority of the population speaks Seychellois Creole, based largely on French, and many family names are French in origin. In 1833, the British Empire passed the Slavery Abolition Act, and by 1835 slavery was officially abolished in Seychelles. Freed Africans, Indian laborers, and small numbers of Chinese migrants contributed to a diverse and blended society. Over time, these cultures merged into a unique Creole identity. Plantation agriculture continued with crops such as coconut, cinnamon, and vanilla, but global competition limited economic growth. In 1903, Seychelles became a separate crown colony, administered directly by Britain. Education slowly improved, political awareness began to rise, and by the mid-20th century, calls for self-government grew stronger. In 1976, Seychelles gained independence from Britain and became a sovereign republic. James Mancham became the first president, with Franz Albert René as prime minister. In 1977, René led a coup and established a one-party socialist state. His government introduced state control over key industries, land reforms, and expanded social welfare programs, including free education and healthcare. During the Cold War, Seychelles balanced relations between global powers while focusing on tourism and infrastructure development. In 1991, multi-party politics returned, and a new constitution was adopted in 1993, establishing a democratic republic with a strong presidential system, a national assembly, and an independent judiciary. Today, Seychelles operates under a constitutional multi-party system. The president serves as head of state and government and is directly elected for a 5-year term. The National Assembly debates laws and oversees government actions. The judiciary remains independent, reflecting both British and French legal traditions. Political competition is peaceful, and recent elections have strengthened democratic credibility through peaceful transfers of power. From silent, uninhabited islands to a modern democratic republic, Seychelles has traveled a remarkable journey. Shaped by geology, colonization, slavery, independence, socialism, and reform, it stands today as one of the most unique nations in the world, small in size, but vast in history, culture, and natural beauty. Independent newspapers, radio stations, and online media platforms operate across the country. Civil society organizations work in environmental protection, human rights, and youth development. Media freedom has improved significantly since the one-party era, although debates about press independence and political influence still exist, as in many democracies. Small island states often face unique governance challenges, including limited resources, a small administrative workforce, and close personal relationships between officials. To address these risks, Seychelles established anti-corruption bodies and strengthened financial oversight. In recent years, investigations into past financial practices have taken place, showing growing institutional maturity. Transparency has become a central issue in modern political discourse. Despite its size, Seychelles plays an active international role. It is a member of the United Nations, the African Union, and the Commonwealth, and it participates in regional Indian Ocean security cooperation. Piracy off the coast of Somalia during the 2000s directly affected the country's waters, leading Seychelles to work closely with international partners to combat maritime threats. The country also promotes the concept of the blue economy globally, advocating for sustainable ocean use. In a region where many nations have experienced coups, civil wars, or instability, Seychelles stands out for its relative political stability. This stability is supported by a small and unified population, a lack of major ethnic divisions, strong social services, and a generally peaceful political culture. Challenges remain, particularly economic vulnerability and climate change. But politically, Seychelles is considered one of Africa's more stable democracies. Governance in Seychelles is deeply shaped by its size. With a population roughly the size of a small city, politics is personal. Leaders are accessible, and community issues quickly become national discussions. This closeness can strengthen accountability, although it can also intensify rivalry. Overall, Seychelles has demonstrated that small nations can build functioning democratic systems. From colonial governors to revolutionary leadership, from one-party rule to competitive elections, and from Cold War tension to peaceful power transitions, modern Seychelles stands as a democratic island republic navigating global challenges with resilience. But political systems alone do not define a nation. When people think of Seychelles, they imagine white sand beaches, luxury resorts, and turquoise waters. Behind this beauty lies a carefully structured economy that transformed a small island state with limited natural resources into one of Africa's highest income countries. With no oil, no large industries, and a population of only about 100,000, Seychelles sustains itself through tourism, fisheries, financial services, and a bold strategy known as the blue economy. During the colonial era, the economy depended on coconut plantations, cinnamon exports, and vanilla production. By the mid-20th century, global competition weakened plantation profits. The real transformation began in 1971 with the opening of Seychelles International Airport on Mahé Island. For the first time, large commercial aircraft could bring visitors directly from Europe, and tourism soon replaced agriculture as the backbone of the economy. Today, tourism is the largest contributor to GDP. Visitors come mainly from Europe, the Middle East, and increasingly from Asia. The islands market themselves as luxury honeymoon destinations, eco-tourism paradises, and exclusive escapes. Instead of mass tourism, Seychelles adopted a high-value, low-volume model that focuses on fewer visitors who spend more, combined with strict environmental protection. Resorts are regulated to preserve natural beauty, and beaches such as Anse Lazio and Anse Source d'Argent attract travelers seeking untouched landscapes. Tourism provides employment in hotels, restaurants, transport, tour operations, and construction, while supporting small businesses. However, heavy dependence on tourism creates vulnerability during global crises. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic halted global travel, and tourism in Seychelles collapsed almost overnight. Hotels closed, flights stopped, and government revenue fell sharply. The crisis revealed how dependent the country was on international visitors. Seychelles responded with strict health protocols, early vaccination campaigns, and a gradual reopening to travel. The economy began recovering faster than many expected, demonstrating both the risks and adaptability of a tourism-driven system. The Indian Ocean is economically vital. Fishing is the second most important sector, with tuna dominating the industry. Victoria hosts one of the largest tuna canneries in the region, and fish products are exported mainly to European markets. Because Seychelles controls a vast exclusive economic zone, it has rights over marine resources in a huge ocean area. Sustainable fishing policies are critical, as illegal fishing and overfishing remain global challenges. To diversify beyond tourism and fisheries, Seychelles developed offshore financial services, including international business companies and offshore registration. This sector generates revenue through licensing and fees, although it has faced international scrutiny regarding transparency and anti-money laundering standards. In recent years, financial regulations have been strengthened to meet global expectations, balancing competitiveness with accountability. Seychelles positioned itself as a global leader in the blue economy, focusing on sustainable ocean resource management, marine conservation, sustainable fisheries, and ocean-based renewable energy. In 2018, it launched the world's first sovereign blue bond, raising funds specifically for sustainable marine development and designating large marine protected areas. For Seychelles, the ocean represents both present opportunity and future security. Over the decades, the country invested heavily in infrastructure, including modern roads across Mahé, ports and harbor facilities, airport upgrades, electricity and water systems, and telecommunications. Internet access is high compared to many African nations, and healthcare and education are publicly funded. These investments contributed to high human development indicators, placing Seychelles among the top African countries in the Human Development Index. The national currency is the Seychellois rupee. Because the country imports most goods, including food and fuel, currency stability is essential. Economic shocks can quickly affect inflation, so the government works closely with international financial institutions to manage debt and fiscal policy. Diversification remains central to long-term stability. Despite success, structural challenges persist, including a small domestic market, reliance on imports, high transportation costs, vulnerability to global tourism trends, and exposure to climate change. Rising sea levels and coral bleaching could impact tourism revenue, and global downturns quickly affect visitor numbers. Long-term planning therefore focuses on resilience. Seychelles is classified as a high-income country by African standards. Citizens benefit from free healthcare, free education, and social welfare programs. Unemployment is relatively low, though the cost of living is high due to imports. Income inequality exists but is lower than in many countries, and overall living standards are among the highest in Africa. The economic philosophy combines tourism-led growth, sustainable fisheries, offshore services, and environmental protection. Heavy industrialization is avoided in favor of preserving natural beauty, which remains the country's greatest resource. Destroying the environment would undermine the economy, and this awareness shapes policy decisions. Beyond economics and politics, the heart of Seychelles lies in its people. With just over 100,000 residents, it is one of Africa's smallest populations but culturally rich and unique. Built from African, European, Indian, and Chinese influences, Seychellois Creole culture emerged as a blended identity. Most people identify simply as Seychellois, a shared identity that supports social harmony. The country is officially trilingual, with Seychellois Creole, English, and French used across society. Creole is widely spoken in daily life. English is used in administration and international business, and French reflects colonial heritage. Religion plays an important role, with the majority Roman Catholic alongside Anglican, Muslim, Hindu, and small Buddhist communities. Religious tolerance is high and protected by the Constitution. Creole culture shapes music, dance, food, language, and architecture. Traditional music blends African rhythms and European melodies, with dances such as Sega and Mautya expressing history and resilience. Cuisine features fish, coconut, rice, curry spices, and tropical fruits, reflecting multicultural roots. Family and community ties are strong, and social life revolves around gatherings, festivals, and national celebrations. Education is free and compulsory, and literacy exceeds 90%. Women participate actively in government, education, business, and public administration, and gender equality indicators are strong compared to many countries. Development is concentrated on Mahé, while outer islands remain quieter. Some Seychellois work abroad, and the tourism sector attracts foreign workers, with immigration carefully managed due to the small population. Healthcare is publicly funded and accessible to all citizens, with primary clinics across districts and a main referral hospital in Victoria. Life expectancy is among the highest in Africa. Public health campaigns focus on vaccination, maternal care, and non-communicable diseases. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Seychelles launched one of Africa's fastest vaccination campaigns. Social protection programs support the elderly, low-income families, people with disabilities, and the unemployed. Housing development is carefully managed due to limited land, and urban planning emphasizes sustainability. Policies can be implemented quickly because of the small population, although skilled professionals remain in high demand. The philosophy is simple. If citizens are healthy and educated, the nation prospers. High literacy, strong healthcare outcomes, and social stability reflect this approach. In classrooms, clinics, and community programs, Seychelles has built human capital alongside infrastructure. Environmentally, Seychelles protects over 30% of its marine territory and leads global ocean conservation efforts. It has designated vast marine protected areas, launched the first blue bond, and restored endangered species habitats. Yet climate change, coral bleaching, rising sea levels, and pollution remain serious threats. Looking ahead, Seychelles focuses on sustainable growth, environmental leadership, economic resilience, innovation, and social stability. It seeks to remain environmentally protected, economically stable, politically democratic, and socially united. Though small, it has shown that size does not determine influence. From uninhabited islands to a democratic republic, from plantations to luxury tourism, from isolation to global leadership in ocean conservation, Seychelles represents resilience and balance. Fragile because climate change threatens its land, yet strong because its people adapt and endure. And that concludes this journey through the history, development, culture, economy, and future of Seychelles. From ancient silent islands to colonial settlements, from independence struggles to environmental leadership, Seychelles stands today as one of the most unique nations on Earth. If you enjoyed this deep exploration and want to discover more countries, their history, and their hidden stories, subscribe for more videos about countries and global knowledge. Like the video if you learned something new, comment below which country you would like next, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next country exploration.